Good morning, Villa fans, and welcome to a match preview of our tough trip to Turkey on Thursday against Fenerbahçe, and a reunion of Marco Asensio and this man over here, Duran, who apparently is available to play on Thursday. Did get a red card in a previous game, which has now been overturned, so he only served a one-match ban, and is apparently, according to some sources, Reddit in particular, saying that he can play on Thursday. Not 100% sure on that myself, but there we go. Just wanted to talk a little bit about the Everton game yesterday. You'll notice the hat is on backwards, which means it's serious talk. Backwards cap rant coming up. So just for a minute, basically, I've done my instant match reaction on the game and gave my views on it, but just really disappointing to be in a position where we could have went into second, and just picking up more injuries. Obviously, John McGinn picking up an injury now, which does look serious. And you think, the type of character that John McGinn is, that he wouldn't limp out of games, and not even try to come back on unless it was something serious. So my feeling is that one could be a long-term injury now, and he's definitely out for Thursday's game, definitely going to be out for Newcastle's game. Two tough away trips coming up for Villa, and it's just looking a bit very, very thin in terms of squad depth at the moment. And why we sold Daniel Marlon and didn't have a replacement lined up to come in straight away. Did we have to sell Marlon straight away there and then? Could we not told Roma, look, hang on, we're trying to buy a replacement in, can we give us a few days? Maybe Marlon could have still played for us, but it's all gone. It's all here, there, and everywhere. But the performance on the pitch wasn't brilliant. A few players didn't have their boots on. Morgan Rogers, putting it over the crossbar so many times when, you just thought he'd, master the technique of keeping it low and getting shots on target. But, there were some good performances. I thought Ian Martson was bright, and, I don't know why he came off, because he looked like a good outlet on the left for us. And then we had some half chances in the game as well. Ollie Watkins was totally anonymous. And this was the game where if Daniel Marlon was on the bench, then Watkins probably would have been dragged after 60. And it would have given him that sort of a kick up the arse that we needed to. But we didn't have anyone on the bench. Evan Gasson, for me, I've made my feelings clear on this man. It's nothing personal against him as a person, but as a footballer, he's nowhere near the level that's required to play for Aston Villa, in my opinion. So, yeah, I don't rate him. I don't like him. And I just don't think he's cut out for this sort of level of football, really, in my opinion, for Evan Gasson. So he was anonymous in the second half as well. Had a couple of chances in that first half, but I didn't even notice him once in the second half. I think he laid off one ball to Rogers, who skewed it wide when he could have dummied it, and Yuri Tielemans was going to have a free shot on goal. But we are now down to almost the bare bones, especially across midfield, which we looked heavy and oversubscribed in about a month ago. We had so many options and so many players, but now there's no Kamara, who looks like he's a long-term injury. And Anana, don't know when he's going to get back fit again. Maybe he can be in the squad for Fenerbahçe. I don't know. We'll have to wait for Emery's press conference. Obviously, McGinn now going down with an injury as well. Ross Barkley, don't know what's going on with him. So all of a sudden now we are very thin. Obviously, Jadon Sancho, illness again. I think he's in talks with other clubs at the moment, probably looking for an exit and a way out. And it doesn't look good there. And we just had nothing on the bench that we could bring on really to really sort of change the game. Alisson, I'm hoping he's going to get in the squad for this game. He's obviously had a bit of a pain in his knee apparently, but hopefully he can be, an option for us in this game in Turkey, because we're going to need as many options as we can get. I mean, George Hemmings did well when he came on. I was impressed with him in sort of pre-season as well. I thought he held his own really well, especially in that fiery kind of Marseille friendly game that we had. I thought he looked really good. Looking forward to seeing more of him, but I was hoping to see more of him when we had more sort of senior players kind of around him, and not the likes of like the Lamar Bogarts and things like that. Bogart did all right as well, actually, in yesterday's game as well, but just bitterly disappointing. They hit the post after 12 seconds, and it kind of gave you the Crystal Palace, Sheffield United vibes, didn't it? When we had that opportunity to go top at Christmas a couple of years ago. Just bitterly disappointing for me. Not even getting a point, just something there, and losing to Everton. And yeah, a couple of players need to look at themselves and what's going on. But I think we're going to be busy. We have to be busy now. It's not just about Tammy Abraham coming in, if that's going to happen. We now need to look at midfield players. Been linked with Dani Ceballos from Real Madrid. There's talks about that going on, but very initial kind of stages. I think Olabi is going to be a very, very busy man over the next, what's that, 2 weeks left of the window. I think it shuts on the 2nd of Feb officially. So, we've got hopefully enough time to get business done. I just don't know what names are out there. Conor Gallagher obviously slipped through our fingers and then ended up at Spurs. That would have been a nice little loan move. So I think we'll probably look to cancel like the Harvey Elliott one. I think Sancho could be gone by the end of the window, in my opinion. If he's looking to seal a permanent transfer somewhere else. It's going to be busy. It's going to be busy, guys. So, definitely keep an eye on the channel about what's going on there. And, let's talk about Fenerbahçe on Thursday now. This is going to be a really tough game. Really, really tough game. I made some notes here on Fenerbahçe, and as I was making the notes on them, I was like, oh, my goodness. This is going to be the name Fenerbahçe is a strong Turkish side. Played in European football for years. They've got some really familiar names in terms of the players they've got now. Really strong team. And yeah, if you look at the record that they had recently, it's they're second in the Super League at the moment, 1 point behind Galatasaray. They are the highest goal scorers in the Turkish league, 42 goals scored. They have the third best defense, 16 goals conceded. So, they know where the goal is, and they know how to keep it out, and they've got a really good defense. I mean, the goalkeeper as well. I'll come on to them in a moment. Last 5 games. So let me give you this crazy stat. 1 defeat in their last 21 games. That's what we're coming up against, guys. 1 defeat in the last 21 games. They had a 3-2 win against Alanspor. I probably butchered all of these sort of pronunciations, so forgive me. Talisca, Brazilian player that they got from Al Nassr. He scored 2. And Musabe, the new recruit from Samsunspor, who actually played for Sheffield Wednesday last season, I think, or season before. He got amongst the goals as well. He's playing right wing for them. As they're missing a few players we're on AFCON duty, but that's obviously finished now. Then a 1-0 win in the Turkish. They do like a group stage cup competition against some team called Fenerbahçe, who's obviously a lower league Turkish team. Again, Talisca getting on the score sheet there. He plays as a sort of attacking midfield player, a number 8, number 10, but just gets forward all the time. And I think it's because of the quality of the Turkish teams allows Fenerbahçe to play a really attacking lineup because, they can just go outscore teams, and that's proven in their 42 goals. The third game, and this was the big one, 2-0 win in Galatasaray against Galatasaray. So a 2-0 win there. Guendouzi scoring on his debut. We'll come on to him in a moment. And the centre-back, Osterwolde, big Dutch centre-back they've got there. He got a goal for them to seal the game up. Then a 2-0 win against Samsunspor, where, I'm going to get his name wrong, Akturkoglu is a good player for them. And John Duran, our best friend, scoring a goal for them in that 2-0 win. And then their only defeat in the last 21 games came in the Turkish Cup group stage thing that they have against Besiktas. A club that we've been hearing a lot about, obviously with Tammy Abraham's rumours. Asensio getting the goal for Fenerbahçe in that game. Tammy Abraham didn't score in that game for Besiktas, but he did assist the first goal. So that's the last 5 kind of domestic results for Fenerbahçe. Looks good. It's like 4 straight wins, 1 loss in the last 5. And then if you're looking at the manager, came in on the 8th of September, replacing Jose Mourinho after he got the sack here. His name is Tedesco, Italian coach, experienced, a good manager. He's very, very, very vocal from the sidelines. He loves an argument with the referee and the assistants. I think he's got more yellow cards than some of his players this season, and he's only been there since September. So he's a very mouthy guy on the side. So, he's very vocal, very passionate, but he picks up quite a few bookings as a manager. Crazy. The stadium is called Chobani Stadium. I think it's obviously naming rights and things like that on there. 47,000 it holds. It's going to be a hostile atmosphere. You know, Fenerbahçe always is a hostile atmosphere going into the game. And then the Europa League games, just before I go into those, obviously my little brain teaser, I forgot to do that at the start. 6 players that have played for Fenerbahçe and Aston Villa. 6 players there are. I'll tell you who they are at the end of this, but just something to get your brain working as you're listening. Answers in the comments. 6 players who have played for Fenerbahçe and Aston Villa. Off you go. Right, back to it. Europa League, last 4 games. So, I mean, they were initially in the Champions League qualifying stages, and they eventually got knocked out by Benfica in those qualifiers 1-0. In the end, 0-0, I think it was in Fenerbahçe, and then they lost 1-0 in Benfica, which meant they didn't make the Champions League and dropped down to the Europa League. So that's where they are. Last 4 games in the Europa League, a 4-0 win against Brandbergen of Norway. Talisca, again, 3 goals, hat-trick for him. And then Aktürk Kuloglu, again, probably butchered the name, but he scored a goal as well. Brand did have a red card after 18 minutes in that game, which obviously made the task easier for Fenerbahçe to go on and win 4-0. And then before that, a 1-1 draw against Robbie Keane's Ferencváros, the Hungarian side. Again, Talisca scoring in that game as well. And I think this is the game where John Duran picked up his red card for at the final whistle. I think kind of headbutt or putting his head into one of the Ferencváros players and receiving a straight red card for that. On the whistle, and he missed the Bran game, the 4-0 win, and obviously he was due to miss this game against Aston Villa, but Fenerbahçe have since appealed it, and apparently according to Reddit, it's been accepted, and he's only going to serve a 1-match ban, which he's already served for the Bran game, so he is now available to play against Aston Villa. So Reddit tells me. So we'll have confirmation of that in the next couple of days, I'm sure. But there you go. And then a 0-0 draw against Victoria Plzeň of Czech Republic. So not a great result there at all. And then the 4th game here is a 1-0 win at home against Stuttgart of Germany, where, again, Aktürk Kuloglu scored the goal for them. So, yeah, a couple of draws in there, a comfortable win against 10-man Bran, and a win against Stuttgart as well. I mean, they haven't really faced any massive teams, is what I would say there. We're probably going to be that big team that they're going to play against. So let's see how we kind of get on with them. But we're coming into this with injuries galore, and I'll come on to our sort of team news in a moment. So Fenerbahçe top goal scorers this season. The man to look out for is definitely the man on form is Talisca, who I mentioned is an attacking midfield player, plays an 8, plays as an 8-10, can also play as a central striker, signed from Al Nassr. I believe he's Brazilian. 17 goals this season already, 3 assists as well. So he is the main man at Fenerbahçe, 31 years of age. They've also got Youssef El Nasri, who has just been on AFCON duty for Morocco, and they just lost in the final. I think he was due to take that penalty that Brahim Diaz Panenkered into Mendy's hands, but yeah, he's got 8 goals and 1 assist this season. Last season, I think he got up to 30 goals. Very prolific goal scorer for Fenerbahçe. Before that, Sevilla. Really good player, linked with Everton in recent days. Been linked with Aston Villa in the past, and also again in recent days. I think he might be someone we look at as a loan option if the Tammy Abraham one goes tits up. But Youssef El Nasri, very, very good player. Reminds me of Jonathan Kodjia from back in the day. Just a big, tall guy, unique running style, likes to have a long-range shot from, and also comes alive in the penalty box. Just anything around the box, he's just alive to it. So he's a danger man. 8 goals, 1 assist. Marco Asensio, obviously the signing from PSG that we couldn't make permanent. 9 goals, 7 assists for Marco Asensio in playing in that number 10 role and flourishing here. And I'm sure he would have flourished at Aston Villa, but we couldn't get that transfer over the line. They only bought him for 7.5 million, which doesn't sound like a lot, but they are paying him 190,000 a week, which is obviously a lot. But then you've got to say, look, we've spent 200 grand a week on Jadon Sancho, and what's that achieved? So yeah, Asensio, yeah, I'm sure he'll be up for the game. So yeah, he's got 9 goals, 7 assists. Turkoglu, the guy that I mentioned that I can't pronounce, 6 goals and 3 assists. A big signing from Benfica for 22 million. Looks like a really useful player playing on that left-hand side. Cuts in, has a really good shot on him. So he's definitely going to be a danger player for them. And then our mate, John Duran, 5 goals, 3 assists. Has had a few injuries here and there, served a suspension here and there. So missed a few games. Maybe he should have more appearances. But 5 goals, 3 assists. We all know about John Duran. Do not let him shoot. Going to be a danger. Going to be up for this game, especially if he gets to start. So injuries and suspensions for them. As I mentioned, John Duran should be back for this, so he's not suspended. Szymanski, a Polish winger that they've got, who's been a really good player for them. He's out with a groin injury. Usually plays from the sort of right midfield. And Archie Brown, their left back, is out injured as well. Long-term injury for him. So they are sort of struggling for sort of left backs, and maybe that's an area of weakness. Summer signings for them, for Fenerbahce, have been obviously Matteo Guendouzi has been the most recent signing for Lazio, 28 million euros. And then Turkoglu, 22 million euros from Benfica. Nene Douglas, who's a winger for them, 18 million euros from Salzburg. Sofian Amrabat, who had a loan spell at United, 12 million from Fiorentina. Ederson, the goalkeeper from Man City, who we know all about, who looks really, really good signing for them. Surprised, that he's ended up here and not on a bigger team. 11 million they paid for him. So Ederson, a really good keeper, really good with his feet. His distribution is probably one of the best in the world, I would say, from passing out from the back. He is absolutely, world class at that. So 11 million they got him for. And then Marco Asensio, 7.5 million pickup from PSG. But on 190 grand a week, how we would love to see a Marco Asensio in our midfield, especially at the moment, given how it's all looking and stuff like that. So those are the summer signings that they've got. And then we're looking at sort of the possible starting 11 for Fenerbahce. I'll go through this. So Ederson in goal, standard. Nelson Semedo, I think they picked him up from Wolves on a free transfer. He's going to play at right back for them. Centre-backs, Osterwalde, who's a Dutch centre-back, I believe, will be partnered with Milan Skriniar, who they picked up from Inter Milan. I think he's a Slovakian international defender. So they've got, a solid defence there. And the left-back position where Archie Brown would normally play, they've got a guy called Mulder, who's been playing sort of covering for him at the moment. I think he's normally a right back, but he'll be shifted over to left back. So maybe that's an area that we should target. Sancho is fit, maybe get him on as a winger against him. But yeah, he could be in the shop window here as well, couldn't he, Sancho? This could be his future employers in the summer, let's say, if he does get on the pitch. And then defensive midfield players for them, Guendouzi has been playing in there. He's taken the place of Fred, who's obviously ex-Man United. So Matteo Guendouzi, who I'm sure that Emery will know all about from the Arsenal days, is playing in there. As I mentioned, Talisca plays kind of advanced of Guendouzi, and then you've got Asensio as well. So you've got Asensio and Talisca playing just in advance of Guendouzi. And I think, they play in the Turkish league, and they can get away with one CDM. Whereas in the Premier League and maybe in this Europa League, where you're playing a tougher opposition, you might need to play with 2 CDMs. And that's not what they do, and that's why they're probably left a little bit open. So Guendouzi, Talisca, and Asensio would probably be their midfield 3. And then ahead of that, I think Turkoglu, who will play from the left. I think Douglas Nene will play from the right, even though Masuba has recently come in and done well for them. But I think Nene will play. And then up front, it's your man, Jean Duran, or Yusuf El-Nesri to lead the line. I've got a feeling for this one, they might... Depends on El-Nesri, if he's in advanced talks with Everton or to leave the club. So they might go with John Duran as the starting man. If not, I can definitely see him impacting it from the bench. But El-Nesri or Duran will lead the line. I've got a feeling it will be John Duran. So that's why I think for Fenerbahce anyway. And that looks like a strong team that we're going to be up against. Probably the strongest team that we've come up against in this Europa League campaign so far, I would say. So yeah, let's see. And obviously we've got our own injuries and our own kind of worries at the moment. And obviously my predicted lineup for Thursday, hopefully we can see a few signings through the door, but I'm not sure if they'll be eligible to play, if they can be registered in time. but my God, do we need some players to come through? Emi Martinez, goalkeeper. Matty Cash, right back. Ezri Konsa, centre back. Pau Torres, left centre back. I know he didn't have a great game. He was rubbish against Everton, but just think we need his European experience to balance on the left-hand side. I think Luca Digne will come in at left back. Again, used to playing in big games, experienced, a bit of know-how. I think he'll play at left back. The CDMs pick themselves at the moment. No Kamara, no McGinn, no Onana, no Barkley. So it's going to be Lamar Bogard and Yuri Tielemans to go again, I would imagine, as the CDM partnership, which does kind of worry me, if I'm honest with you, against sort of that midfield that they've got as well, and the hostile atmosphere, especially with sort of young sort of Lamar Bogard coming in there. And then there's the three behind the front man, Morgan Rogers, Emi Buendia, and then the curveball that I'm throwing in. I mean, I said about Jadon Sancho, but not sure if he's going to be fit enough, if he's going to play in this game to impress his future employers. Who knows? I probably would go Ian Martson, play him a little bit more advanced of Luca Digne, double up on maybe their sort of wide players as well a little bit more. Leave Morgan Rogers to play a bit more sort of further forward, perhaps. Emi Buendia to do some sort of running around and making it to midfield three, perhaps. But I just think like we're going to need some pace. You know, I think we're going to need some pace in the team. I think we're going to need some wingers. Played very compact against Everton. Didn't really work. Fenerbahçe look like they're a very kind of compact team as well. Very physical, big units. I think we're going to need the wingers and the flanks. And I think Ian Martson playing a little bit further advanced, getting balls into the box. He's good on the ball, beat a man. He likes to get a shot and a cross in. So I would go Ian Martson a little bit more advanced in that role there, helping out Luca Digne as well defensively. And then it's Ollie Watkins up front because there is literally nobody else. He had a shocking game against Everton. I would have dragged his ass off at 60 minutes on that performance and brought on Daniel Marlon, but that's not an option that we have at the moment. So Ollie Watkins will have to be up front, and I need him to be on his A game. He needs to be occupying Osterwalde and Schrinner, who are going to be two big physical centre-backs. He needs to make himself known in the game. Bench-wise, Marco Bizzo, Tyrone Mings, Victor Lindelof, Andres Garcia, George Hemmings can probably see some minutes towards the end of the game here. Evan Gasson, I don't really like him. I hope he's shipped out even before this game. Hopefully he goes to Besiktas and we get Tammy in the next 24 hours. Jim Aloba, who obviously made the bench yesterday, will probably be on the bench again. I would love to see Brian Maggio on the bench for this game because I just want to see a striker that we can maybe kind of bring on off the bench instead if Ollie Watkins is not doing it. Do you know what I mean? So it's just, I just want to see, some options off the bench. And I want to see Brian Maggio's name on the bench. Alisson as well, if his knee injury is there, maybe he can provide the width that we need. If Sancho's still ill. So it all depends on illness, fitness levels, what's going on in terms of injuries and recovering. I mean, normally, guys, I'm very positive about going into sort of games and I never want to predict Villa to lose a game. But I'm struggling here to see Villa winning this game in Turkey. I mean, it's the Turkey factor, really, which is, hostile atmosphere. Fenerbahçe are going to be up for it. There's going to be, fireworks all over the place, flares all over the place. It's going to be like Ligia Warsaw. Remember in the Conference League when we had our first game and it was a bit of a, wow, what the hell's this? I think it's going to be similar to that. It's a 5:45 kickoff, but even so, it's still going to be a very, very hostile atmosphere. And it just depends on how players like Lamar Bogard do. I'm sure Yuri Tielemans can deal with it. I'm sure our players can deal with it. That's the wrong thing to say, but it's just going to be, we don't have options on the bench. And I think Fenerbahçe do. I think the best that we can get here is to get a draw. And I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go Fenerbahçe 1, Aston Villa 1, just somehow sneaking out a point, maybe an undeserved point. Maybe we come under a lot of pressure and we hang on, maybe get something on the counter-attack, a set piece perhaps. But I just feel as though we're not going to go there and win. But I just hope we can get a point, and I'll take a point right now, given the current sort of injury situation and circumstances. But that's my score prediction there is a 1-1. Goal scorer, it's always Morgan Rogers, isn't it? It's always Morgan Rogers. Don't know why. He's the only one that looks like he's likely to score. So there you go, Morgan Rogers. Right, I said during this one as well, there were 6 players who have played for Fenerbahce and Aston Villa. Hope you guys got your brains on and you were thinking, answers in the comments as you were listening to this. But here is the big reveal. So the 6 players are, obviously 2 of them are current. So John Duran, Marco Asensio, get no prizes for those. The 3rd player, Diego Carlos. We sold him to Fenerbahce, who's now since on loan to Como under Cesc Fabregas in Italy. So he played for them. And then Ali Samata, as you remember, that Tanzanian striker that we had, scored in the cup final against Man City with a nice diving header. Didn't do a lot else for us, really, Ali Samata. I'm not sure where he is now. I think he's playing in the 2nd division of France or something for Le Havre, I think it is. But Ali Samata, there's another one for you. Blast from the past, Alpay Ozalan, who we actually signed from Fenerbahce all those years ago, back in the late 90s, is it? Early 2000s? Something like that. Anyway, Alpay Ozalan, who was a brute of a defender for us, got into the World Cup team of the tournament, but never really sort of replicated that kind of form for us. And he was decent enough, but he was an accident waiting to happen. Let's just say that much about Alpay. And then the last name, the 6th player on this list, and God bless him and God rest his soul, Dalian Atkinson, a man from the 90s who scored so many wonderful goals for Aston Villa. One of the reasons that I support Aston Villa, scored in the cup final against Man United. God bless you, Dalian. You played for Fenerbahce for 1 season as well after you left Aston Villa in 1995. So all those years ago. So John Duran, Marco Asensio, Diego Carlos, Ali Samata, Alpay Ozalan, and Dalian Atkinson are your 6 players who have played for Fenerbahce and Aston Villa. And guys, I'll leave it there. Little rant over for me. Can put the cap back on now. Let's forget about Everton. Let's look ahead to the transfer window now. The next couple of days is crucial. We've got like a couple of weeks now. We need to go to the window. Need to be buying Tammy Abraham. Need to be buying a centre midfield player that can play 6 and 8 kind of role. And I still think we need an out-and-out winger, because I don't think Sancho's up for it. I never thought Evan Gasson was up for it. Leon Bailey, I don't know what's happening with him, if he's going to be recalled or not. He's staying now at Roma. So keep your eyes on the channel, guys. Like and subscribe. There will be transfer news breaking, I'm sure, in the next 24 hours. I'm confident of that. We're not going to let this linger. Need to bring in new players, hopefully before this game. Have to before the Newcastle game. If we go into that looking like this, finito, it'll be all over for us, mate. So tough week coming up for Villa. Keep supporting the channel. Like, subscribe, super chats, super thanks, Superman, whatever it's called. I don't know. I'm all new to this whole YouTube thing, but since I hit 500, it's coming up with, you can do this and this and you're eligible for this. So you guys are probably more in tune to that. Smash a like, subscribe to the channel, comment your thoughts below, follow me. Until the next one, guys, over and out. Love you all. Bye-bye. Up the Villa.